Hello, welcome to the Self-Help Empowerment Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Lance William Green. I am a published author of many books. All of my books are available at lulu.com/bookstore/Lance William Green. They're also available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, 40,000 other online retailers. You can always contact me at lwg.corporations@gmail.com. Contact me if you're interested in working with me on any projects, or actually if you would like to give me a grant so that I can pass out some of my books to people in jails and prisons. So, all right, I want to start this one podcast out with some of the things I've been thinking about a little bit. The other day I was looking around and I seen this one video, and it was from this lady that was saying some stuff, and she's on YouTube. I think her name, I don't know her name, but her little tag is Ass Mineral Mama. So, I don't know. I haven't watched very many things of hers, but I did see something and she was talking, and, it made me stop and think. So, I kind of modified some of the things like what she was saying. So, I did want to give her a little bit of credit there. I don't know where she got it from, but, it was kind of genius what she was saying. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I was thinking about, and maybe give you a second to think about what I'm saying, and consider if this stuff is really true, what it would mean. So, imagine this. When everything you thought you knew about education was taught to you by your enemy. So think about that. The teachers are teaching you things from books and things that they've been taught at universities and colleges, and they're teaching it all back. Imagine if everything that they've learned that they're teaching you was being taught to them, and they're teaching it to you by your enemy. So just think about that for a second. Imagine everything you thought you knew about medicine and health was taught to you by your enemies. So think about that for a second. We live in a world where everything is cured by either a pill or a shot or some kind of thing that modifies your DNA, and it's man-made chemicals and not natural. And all the natural cures that they can't patent, or that you can grow in your own backyard or find for free, they tell you that it's not good, it doesn't work, or they want to promote their pill that they can patent and sell. So think about that for a second. You think about medicine and about health, and how they don't want to give you the cure, they want to sell you the treatment. So think about that for a second. Imagine everything you knew or thought you knew about spirituality was taught to you by your enemies. So think about that. Think about all the spiritual books and other things wrote by man, and think about how they could be used to control people, and think that if that stuff was taught to you by your enemies, give that a little bit of consideration. So when you start to think and you realize that everything you know, everything you believe, was taught to you by your enemies, it's a sad situation to wake up to the realization that your enemies even taught you who your enemies were, right? So think about that. I mean, do you know who your enemies are, or does the government just tell us who the enemies are, and then all of a sudden they're their enemy, like Russia or China or Israel or Germany or Japan? Think about that for a second. And how those people have done anything to you, or that government's done anything to you, or how did you come to believe that they're your enemy? They teach you this country is your enemy. This guy over here is your enemy. They even say Hitler was your enemy, right? And then you realize that your enemy was pointing to the cause. They always say when you point the finger at somebody, you have to point the finger right back to yourself. So the whole time our enemy was right here. So think that about that for a second. I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, it's strange how the world works and how you know what you know. That everything you do know, language and books and videos and all that, this is all man-made, man-manufactured things. And there's a reason that they have the books they have and the things that they teach in colleges and everything. I don't know if you look at the way things are going, how I guess they gaslight people, and then they make people think things are wrong with them and that other people should have other rights or more rights than them. And you see things on TV where they try to make people think that things that are wrong are right, and they try to normalize it. So you're like reprogramming people. I don't know if you noticed, but the generation of kids these days, they're not like the kids from the 50s or 60s. They don't have the same morals and values and thinking, and we live in a totally different kind of generation where really homosexuality and wanting everything given to you for free is becoming the normalizing thing on TV, that the rich should take care of everyone and the people that have things should give their things to other people that don't. And people just want to be high on drugs and not work. They want to steal everything or take it from somebody else. And that's the kind of generation of kids that we're raising these days. Not everyone is that way, but we live in a strange world now where they're trying to normalize things and reprogram people through the TV and the radio. And actually, the internet now is in a lot of ways helping people get more information, but it's also helping to spread more false information. All right. So I also want to talk about some other stuff. I don't know. I don't know if some of my fans may be Trump supporters. They may hate Trump. But I noticed something the other day. I don't know if you guys were affected by it, but where I was, I noticed that when Trump did his, I guess they called it a primetime address or whatever, most of the TV stations did not show his address. And then I watched it, and then I noticed right when he was telling us about people trying to censor him, or I don't know, the news was trying to hide the truth or change the truth or cut their videos or whatever to make it be where they were kind of taking whatever out of context to make it sound like he's saying something bad or doing something bad or to fit what they wanted to say, their narrative. They cut off and went away to a different channel on the news for about 20-30 seconds while he was talking. And then when they came back, they were talking over the top of him when he was still talking for about 10 minutes. Now, I know some of you probably don't like Trump, and some maybe you do. But to me, don't you think that the people of the United States should have been able to hear what the President of the United States was saying? I realize we're in the middle of a war, so he was talking about Iran, and he was talking about China, he was talking about Russia, Ukraine, all kinds of things, but I can't even tell you what he was talking about because I didn't get to see, because the news decided they were going to cut away and not let the American people share what the president had to say. So, that was some of the things that I was thinking about that was kind of crazy. So I don't know if any of that happened to you guys. I was interested in hearing what the president had to say. I know they want to fact check him and, say he's lying about this and that. But this time it was different, because instead of letting him say whatever he wanted to say and then fact checking him or calling him a liar or, saying his claims are false and all that, they didn't even let us hear it. they hid what he was saying from everyone, as far as I know. I don't know yet, but I didn't get to see it because the TV station that I was watching, the only one that was showing it, cut away, and I feel probably the most important part of his speech. So that was one of the things I wanted to bring up, because I don't know, I've never seen anything like that happen. And I know they talk about people being like shadow banned and censored and all that, but I've never seen that happen to the President of the United States on live TV. That was, to me, nuts that happened, that they hid or, tried to deceive the American people by not letting us hear what our president had to say. I mean, you don't have to like him or not. I mean, that's the thing is, don't you at least want to hear what he had to say, seeing as how he's the president of the United States? Anyway, so another thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I'm, this self-help empowerment lifestyle, and I try to talk about my books and things, but I want to talk to you about some things I've found. Most people fail before they even start because they fail at everything that they don't even try to do. So you're going to fail 100% of the time at things that you don't even attempt to do. So the other thing is, you need to understand yourself and what you're capable of. And you need to know your worth. No matter what others people say, you have to remember your choices are your investments in yourself. You have to take time and stop and think about what you're doing and think about the life that you want. I mean, have you ever stopped and thought about that? What kind of life do you want? I mean, what kind of life do you have now? And what do you really want? Do you even know what you really want or where you want to go? What is your purpose? What drives you? Why are you working? What are you living for? If you find that why, you can take control of your life, and you can break down these little steps into the goals that you want to get to the bigger goal that you're trying to get to. When you realize that your life is really your choices that lead to your actions, that lead to things coming to being what you've manifested into being your reality through your choices. I don't have what you would call faith or that I'm blessed or I'm lucky. The things that I get is because of the choices that I make and the actions that I take to get the things that I want, that I manifest. I have a vision of things that I want to do, and so I'm able to work towards that. Most people don't have what you call vision. They have things they want, they have giant goals, but they can't break it down into steps to get there, or they don't even have the follow through to get to the goal that they want, or even the little steps to the goal. They give up way before they even get started. So think about it for a second, and maybe write down and tell yourself, or think about, what is your perfect life? What would be your perfect life? Write it down and think about that for a second. What is your perfect life? And so when you start to think about that, you can start to see where you want to go. And once you start to see where you want to go, then you can start breaking down the goal into littler steps to start taking those steps and start getting there, and consistently doing it to accomplish the end goal. Sometimes the goal will change. You might decide you want something else or whatever, but you need to get set on where you're going, because if you don't know where you're going, you can't make the plan to get there. Usually I found consistency and doing is better than having the potential. A lot of people have potential to do a lot of different things, but then they don't actually do anything with it. So they may have the potential to do things, but then they don't even take the steps or have the follow through to get there. Alright, so that was just some of the things that I was thinking about here that I wanted to put on here. I am going to start probably reading some things out of my other books. I know my Discovering Your Super Narcissist book, I know it has a funny little ring to it or whatever, but it's actually a really good self-help book. It has everything in it. It's not really a main book about drugs and alcohol and addictions. That would be my self-help empowerment lifestyle book. But this book has more about, like, if you want to accomplish things in your life and empower yourself and business and stuff, and to see the powers you already have and then bring them out to make the things that you want happen. So most of my books, they teach you how to turn your dreams into reality, along with your extreme vision. And you think about, who am I? And who do I want to become? The books teach you how to do the steps, to break it into steps, to start making it happen. It's what's possible when you start to take your dream and your vision and learn to break it into steps to make it happen. Alright, well, this is kind of becoming a longer podcast. I'm going to try to do some other longer ones. I'm definitely going to start to do some more music. I talked to my friend TC the other day, and I was telling him, you know what, we can do an album together. And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna write out a song for you can sing it with me. So hopefully I'll be doing at least one song with TC soon, and singing in it, because that's one of my goals that I want to do. I want to actually get 10 songs together, and then I was actually thinking of maybe doing a CD with him if he wanted to do that. I started to talk to him about that, so I may do that. He's kind of into like a gospel type of music, so we'll see. But he does do some kind of soft rock and other things, so I may get into some of that. That'd be kind of cool. That's just something I want to play around with. Actually, this is something, a goal I made for myself, is to have 10 songs in a CD made. So I probably will do that. I don't really know how to play guitar that great, so I'm glad I have Bhakti and I have a TC that plays really well. And actually, there's a couple other dudes that I know that want to play some music for me, and so I'll probably be having them on here soon. So I want to do the music, but I also want to interview some other people. I did see my friend Rare, and he's trying to get the music together for the techno trance stuff, so I'm probably going to put him on here. And, I'm still working on my workout book. So today for me is Saturday, and I've been doing 20 laps 5 days a week, well, sometimes even more. So I want to give myself a little bit of time to heal up. So I think I'm going to take the Saturday and the Sunday off, and I'm going to do my little podcast and work more on my books and kind of relax and give my body a little bit of time to heal up. I don't know. It seems like 5 miles a day seems like a lot. I know there's people probably that jog maybe way more than that. I don't know. I want to hit the gym more and use the ellipticals and the exercise bikes and do more workouts on the machines for the arms and the legs and things. So I'm trying to do that. Mainly what I've been trying to do is start my morning out, 7:30, 8 o'clock, go out, run 5 miles, come in, shower, and then continue doing the things I need to do, work on my podcast or do my books or my videos or other things that I'm doing. I play some games and things like that, and I watch movies, and I do other things like that. But I don't want it to be where I'm working out and it just totally sucks away all my energy, where I can't even do anything the rest of the day. So I'm trying to get into the habit of working out pretty hard in the morning and then continuing on with my day, because I got to fit the workout in there to keep my health maintained. A lot of my friends, they come and they start jogging with me, and then a lap or two, they can't even breathe, and then they have to stop. And that kind of was for me too. And I really noticed how, not really doing very much for the last 8-9 months, how much my body, I guess you would say, deteriorated my health. I noticed in my breathing and the way I felt and everything else. Once I started running again or jogging, my back started feeling better. I started breathing better. I'm starting to feel better. There's a lot of things that I'm getting benefit out of that. Plus, I go around and I pick mint, and I'm also eating dandelion, and I'm also starting to look around for more things that I can get, like herbs and other little plants and things to eat that are good. Because I like to do that. Even though I am like a meat eater, I still like eating strange plants and things. So it's kind of crazy, but I like to have the natural type of medicine. I don't take things like aspirins and other stuff like that. I don't see all those chemicals and everything being more beneficial than something natural. But that doesn't mean that something natural is always safe. You can eat a plant that can, really make you sick or even kill you. So you have to be careful about what you pick or forage for there, especially with the mushrooms and things. But there's other little plants that are pretty deadly too. So, I always look in an herb book. But I think maybe I'm going to start doing that some more, as looking around with these herb books I got and trying to find things just naturally growing and, see how they make me feel, I guess, or if they help me out. So that's one of the things I may be doing in the future too, is writing a herb book, or I may even be throwing some of that in my new Mind, Body, and Business book that I'm writing. That's one of the things I'm trying to do with my workouts and all that is, I like to do things where if I'm writing about it, I want to be actually doing it. I don't want to just talk about it. I want to be about it. So that's the same thing with all my self-help books and everything. I actually that's stuff I use in my life, and I learn a lot of stuff reading my own books. Sometimes I write down things that I'm thinking about, and then I put them in my books, and then later on I see them, I'm like, you know what, I should use that and start doing that. And so then I do. But I'm trying to have the workouts and then take care of my health. It's like I said, mind, body, or body, mind, and business. You have to take care of your body, and then your mind, or actually your mind and then your body, and then you can get to business. So I'm going to be doing that. Remember, all of my books are available at lulu.com/bookstore/Lance William Green. And, if you like what you hear and you're liking the videos, or you check out any of my books, or, you want to comment on anything, you can always get at me at lwg.corporations@gmail.com. I'd like to hear from some of you. It would be pretty cool. I mean, I don't have very many subscribers and things, but I would like to know what some of you think. The other cool thing is, the other day, I did actually give away some of my podcasts to some of my friends. And I even gave them to some people that I knew weren't really my friends. And you know what? I was actually surprised that everyone said they liked them. Even the guys that were kind of jerks says they liked them. So they must be pretty good. I like to think they're pretty good. So, all right. Until my next podcast, like I said, I'm going to try to get some more music and things. But I wanted to make sure I did a good podcast to let everybody know what I'm doing. Because, I'm trying to do these at least twice a week. All right. Thank you. Like and subscribe.